What really happened behind the camera during Jin's photo shoot for the Echo album? Why is his gaze blank and his steps as if without direction? Is HYBE hiding something bigger than just fatigue? As one tape after another leaked, this question could no longer be ignored. What is really going on behind Jin's forced smile? And who is the mysterious figure from Kian's team who appeared at the last minute before Jin stopped talking? What is HYBE hiding? New facts behind Jin's blank gaze revealed. Have you ever seen someone smile, but their eyes don't speak? Have you ever felt like there was something much deeper than just a facial expression, as if there was a silent scream hidden behind the camera lens? That's what happened when BTS's Jin's photo shoot sketch for the Echo album was released to the public. No one is prepared for what they see. Jin's gaze wasn't just tired, it was a distress signal that had not been heard. The question now is no longer whether there is something to hide, but what is hidden and why. Camera highlights capture shocking moments. Jin stood in the middle of the studio, wearing an ivory white suit designed specifically to depict the emotional awakening in the Echo concept. However, it was not the nuance of the revival that was captured by the staff and photographers. Instead, what they saw was the figure of a genie who was barely present. His gaze was blank, his focus scattered, and his smile felt forced. Some observant soldiers even noticed that in one frame, Jin's hands seemed to tremble subtly while grasping the props given to him. And the most annoying? In some raw footage leaked to limited fandom, Jin can be heard saying quietly, "Does this really matter? That I don't even know why I'm here?" That's the question that shakes the virtual world. And as fans began to dig deeper, one name popped up over and over again: Team Kian. Who are they really? And why was their involvement in Jin's filming process for this project so secretive and uninformed? Shouldn't a project as big as Echo be a celebration of Jin's resurrection after a long hiatus? But the opposite happened. The photo shoot became a moment that aroused more concern than admiration. Some of the staff involved indirectly started giving subtle signals on social media. One of the makeup artists working for the Echo project wrote on her personal account, "Sometimes we have to stop and ask, who are we really looking after? Imagery or the guy?" Despite not naming names, fans immediately attributed the statement to Jin. And when the account was subsequently locked down and all posts deleted in less than 24 hours, the gaffe was even more irreconcilable. Not stopping there, rumors began to spread that Jin had asked for a longer break before the shooting session began. But the request was denied. The reason? Solid schedule that has been rearranged to fit the agenda of the Team Kian. But why did the mysterious Kian team have such authority over Jin? Are they just another documentary crew? Or is there a secret project going on behind the scenes? The army began comparing Jin's photo shoot footage with previous moments where he appeared full of energy, despite the pressure. The difference is striking. Even in difficult times, Jin always showed a gentle aura of firmness. But this time, there was something else. Like there was a wound that had not yet healed, but was forced to be covered with glitter point. One of the most surprising parts was when the camera caught Jin pausing, staring into a corner of the room, as if waiting for someone to speak. In fact, there was no one there. Just then, the photographer told him to get back into position, but Jin seemed distracted. A few seconds later, Jin looked down and let out a long sigh, then whispered something caught on the microphone. "I beg you, don't force me to do this again." The atmosphere became quiet. The production team gave no official explanation, and the footage was removed from the final release. But the screenshots are already circulating among a limited circle of fandom who keep everything very carefully. The question is now louder and louder. What was forced to do by the genie? Why did HYBE choose silence, even though there was clearly something wrong? Is it just a matter of exhausting filming, or is there actually a deeper psychological pressure, something that they have managed to cover up behind the glamorous scenes? The next surprise came from an interview session that was supposed to accompany the release of Echo. Jin, known for his humorous and warm speaking style, looks completely different. The answers are short, stiff, and even a few times look like they've lost their way. At one point, he was asked about the creative process of the album, and he simply replied, "I just go along with what is asked." The answer immediately triggered a wave of anxiety. Since when has Jin become passive when it comes to the creative process? Isn't he one of the most vocal members in providing ideas and input? Some fans tried to find traces of Jin's activity before the photo shoot. They discovered that Jin had disappeared from radar for 48 hours before filming began. There was no activity in Weverse, no interaction with the staff, not even seen in HYBE's dorm or office. Is that time used to prepare him mentally? Or is there an internal conflict going on? An anonymous insider from the security staff mentioned that Jin got out of the dressing room early, walked alone out of the building, and sat on the edge of the sidewalk for more than an hour without talking to anyone. When approached, he simply said, "I need air." But anyone who knows the genie knows, it's not just a desire to breathe oxygen, it's a plea for space, for freedom, for a little respite from the pressures that are slowly destroying her from within. More surprisingly, several other BTS members were reportedly not present during the shoot. No live support, no promotional messages as usual. Why? Don't they know? Or do they choose not to get involved? And if so, why? One of the most heartbreaking comments came from a senior fan who has been following Jin since pre-debut. He wrote, "Jin's gaze at Echo's photo shoot is not that of a K-pop star. It was the gaze of a person exhausted, not physical, but soul. And it's more terrible." HYBE itself has not yet given an official statement. They chose silence, even as the hashtags #ProtectJin and #HYBeSpeakUp became trending in more than 12 countries. But will the silence last longer? Or will it be replaced by an explosion of truth that has been suppressed? Now, all eyes are on HYBE. Because the question is no longer whether Jin is okay, but why he is not okay. What happened between Jin and Team Kian? Why did the shooting process become stressful when it should have been a proud comeback moment? And most importantly, what is being hidden from the public? Because when an idol like Jin shows signs like this, it's not just the image that's at stake. It's about mental health, about humanity, about voices that may have been silenced for so long behind smiles that we thought were sincere. But now we know the smile holds something, and we can no longer remain silent. If you think it's just a coincidence, wait until you hear more details. A visual editor working on the post-production of the Echo project accidentally mentioned that there were parts of Jin's footage that were unnaturally accelerated, and that some of his facial expressions were selectively blurred. Why blur the facial expressions of a person who is known precisely for his strong and honest emotional expression? What do they want to cover up? More surprisingly, the editor's acknowledgments didn't come through major media outlets or official interviews, but through encrypted messages leaked anonymously to a closed fan site community. In the message, the editor wrote, "I am not the army, I only work for this project. But after seeing his face, I could not sleep. I became part of something wrong." What did the editor actually see in Jin's raw footage? Is there a censored cry? Was there a moment where Jin begged for filming to stop? Why is a company as big as HYBE so tightly controlling this narrative if it has nothing to hide? Let's step back a little and look at the chronology that the media has not highlighted so far. A week before the Echo shoot, Jin reportedly met someone from outside the label, someone from clinical psychology circles. This meeting was not recorded on HYBE's official agenda and was not even known to Jin's personal manager at the time. When this fact was leaked, fans began to speculate. Is Jin struggling with something more than just work pressure? It all got even more tense when a former HYBE staffer vaguely posted on social media, "Sometimes they want to talk, but the company prefers them to be silent, because their sound can destroy more than we can imagine." Shortly thereafter, the account disappeared, and the person disappeared from cyberspace. But digital traces cannot be completely erased. The post has now spread to thousands of international fan accounts demanding one thing: transparency. And then, who exactly is Team Kian? This name initially sounds like the name of an ordinary creative department. But after a deeper search by investigative fans, it was revealed that the Kian team was not a